well, the whole premise of the show is that we don't know what each other looks like. I've judged others on their looks in dating in the past, and that same judgment has been put on me. And so I wanted to completely have that removed.
Taylor, first things first, you are zooming in from your day job.
I sure am. Colonoscopies, come get them.
You're on lunch break, so we're going to talk all things Love is Blind during your lunch break.
That sounds good.
Are you kidding me?
Should we shake hands?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
You're beautiful. Oh my gosh. Can you kiss?
How has it been watching back? Because we just watched the first 6 episodes. So for you, how is that reliving it all?
Everyone is their own worst critic, I feel like. I found myself getting annoyed by the amount of times I said surreal, but that is the word that came to my brain when I was going to tell you how it felt watching it back. Very surreal. Obviously, like there was so much time spent in the pods. So some conversations I'm even like, oh yeah, that's right. We did talk about that. So it's been fun to see some of it back. And then also the best part so far has seeing the other connections happen, because of course we weren't a part of those. I can go off of what the girls are telling me in the lounge, and but to see it firsthand has been really special.
I love that. And we're going to get into that, but I do want to know, what did your parents think of you joining the show?
My parents were excitedly protective, I will say. They've seen me go through multiple heartbreaks in my life, and obviously that's not a fun place for a parent to see their child in. So with the stakes, being as high as they are with a marriage potentially at the end of the show, obviously it raised some concerns that things were moving quickly.
And why did you want to join the show? Did you watch seasons in the past and you're like, this is definitely like my speed?
Yeah, I have just tried everything when it came to dating. Dating apps, mutual setups, the bar scene, the gym, like you name it, I have tried it, and nothing was working. So then this kind of fell into my lap. I got a DM on Instagram one day about it from a casting producer, and I thought, I mean, sure, why not? I'll just submit my stuff and see what happens. My dad had been diagnosed with his cancer not long before I was contacted, so I was a little apprehensive because my brain was obviously with my family at that time. But yeah, I just submitted my stuff, and sure enough, it just kept falling into place. So.
And honestly, too, sometimes that's a good distraction. My mom's also going through cancer.
Yeah.
And like having that distraction is
for sure
for the whole entire family, too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear about your mom.
Are you down on a knee?
Wait. Hold on. I am now. I should probably figure out a little bit about my future
More
wife
than my name.
Yeah, Taylor, I'm in. Yeah.
First episode, we see your first date with Daniel,
Mhm.
and he jokingly gets down on one knee to start things off. What
Yeah.
was going through your head at that time?
I wish there was a small part that wasn't included on that first date. I was standing in the hallway. So on day one, we dated everybody, right? It was like a bit of a speed dating scenario. And I think Daniel was 12th of the day, out of the 16 men. And I was standing in the hallway, and Meg was next to me. And I said to her, I have a strange feeling about this next date. And she said, oh, manifest it, girl, go for it. And I walked in, and it was Daniel. So that part already, I walked in with like this elevated sense of something special coming. And then to watch it back of him proposing within, a minute of our first date, I mean, you can't help but smile when you see it.
And then it was clear as the dates went on that you guys did have so much in common.
Yeah.
Like, so much in common. Was that surprising to you? Was that at all kind of weird to you? How are you feeling with all of that?
Of course, I was hopeful coming into the experiment that I would find someone. But logistically speaking, to find my person out of 16 random men that were cast from Minneapolis. I mean, I had been on the dating apps for years in Minneapolis and hadn't met someone. So obviously I was hopeful, but not really sure if I would walk away engaged. But once everything aligned with us. I've never had it be that easy and effortless with someone. So it was an undeniable connection.
So at one point, and we'll get more into this as well, but at one point you talk about Instagram, and Daniel asked what your handle was, and you asked if he followed you, and that kind of started, is that like the moment where you started thinking, oh.
Not necessarily. I mean, we talked about so many things in the pods that weren't included in the show. But that being said, it does tie into the cliffhanger for the first batch of episodes. So I do think that was intentionally left in, but at the time I was not thinking something's up here.
Okay, so your antennas were not up at that time.
No. I also talk on the show about how social media has been an insecurity for me in past relationships. So we focused a lot on talking about social media because it has not been a place of light in past relationships for me. So that's also a little context as to how we got where we did.
Got it. Okay, and we're going to get into that, but I do want your opinion on the Dave of it all, okay? Oh my gosh, I don't know if it's just me, but watching these episodes, I'm like, what is with this man?
Why are you here? What's wrong with you?
Probably a lot, honestly.
So what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Why are you here?
What? What's wrong with you?
Why Love is Blind?
Oh man, to be brutally honest, I just have kind of been an ass to women in my previous dating life. I really wanted to confront myself about that.
I really do believe a lot of it has to do with his sense of humor. I'm not saying it's my sense of humor, but I think to David is his sense of humor. And it's just about who you bounce with well and who you have that banter with. So who plays off of your humor. It was not me, unfortunately. Fortunately. So we didn't see eye to eye on humor. Eventually it did come to an end because of that. But I honestly think it's Dave's sarcasm that's showing through more than anything.
Did he ever ask what's wrong with you?
He did. Yeah. He asked, I think, every girl that on day one. But I think it was his like icebreaker. Let's make people laugh, honestly. But I will say that the older you get, society does tend to ask those questions. Like if you're over 30 and not married, I mean, even your own like extended family is asking you at holidays, like, when are you finding someone? Why are you still single? You know? So I think it was a play on what we're used to hearing, unfortunately, in today's dating world.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
How are you?
You're beautiful.
Nice to meet you.
Oh my God.
I do want to talk about the reveal. So,
Okay.
How nervous were you?
Oh my goodness. I've never been that nervous in my entire life. I can confidently tell you that. It was, so the camera part was a new experience once we got to the reveal. They felt well placed during the dating portions in the pods. So I really didn't even notice that people were watching us. But the reveal, I mean, it was the setup of it was, there was a ton of cameras right there with people behind them. There were a lot of eyeballs on us in that reveal as well. So not only was I very nervous to meet the person I had just fallen in love with in 10 days, but then you had that added sense of pressure as well from knowing the physical beings right next to you also watching and judging everything that's happening.
A total added layer to it all. You're like,
yeah,
I'm already so nervous, but let's
I
have
know.
these people watch me.
I know.
So funny too. Yeah, because in the pods, you're not seeing people. So that is great because then you kind of forget that you're being filmed.
For sure. Yeah. And then, my lips started sweating and it was just downhill from there.
Thanks again.
You're beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very handsome.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Oh my gosh. Taylor.
Hi, nice to meet you.
It's so nice to meet you.
might cry.
So you see him, you guys, you're obviously happy. He's obviously happy. And the next morning, we then see you very emotional.
Mhm.
What changed?
Yeah, so in that reveal, I was also not only putting a face to a name and a voice to a body, but I was also feeling like Daniel looked very familiar to me in that setting, which I've gotten a ton of people reaching out saying, why would that matter? Well, the whole premise of the show is that we don't know what each other looks like. I've judged others on their looks in dating in the past, and that same judgment has been put on me. And so I wanted to completely have that removed from this situation. So the thought that he did know what I looked like was very scary because it compromises everything. And then is this too good to be true? Did he know what I looked like? Then he, because he had followed me on Instagram, maybe not. I was spiraling. I do that a lot. I also talk about being an overthinker in the pods, which I'm glad that was also included because guilty as charged. So I just started to spiral. I mean, I got back to the hotel and I was alone. We don't have devices. We don't have anyone to talk to that's from our circle. We're sleep deprived. The adrenaline of meeting someone, I just started to spiral. At that time, it wasn't uncommon that single guys would follow me on Instagram. And if I thought they were cute, I'd follow them back. So it wasn't a completely out of the dark idea that maybe he was one of those guys. So yeah, there's more details, but that's it in a nutshell.